Hey guys! Today, the day you're watching this, is my 20th birthday, and I am totally stealing this idea from Jenna Marbles. She posted 29 things I've learned in 29 years, and so I'm gonna do 20 things I've learned in 20 years. So Jenna's list was very fun and funny because that's who she is. Not that that's not who I am, but mine is very heavy and very serious. I've made a lot of mistakes in 20 years, and so basically this video should be called like 20 mistakes I've made in 20 years. And so basically, long story short, it was hard to narrow down a list, but so in no particular order, 20 things I've learned in 20 years. Number one is that it's okay if you're not okay. That took a long time for me to figure out. Like, I thought that by telling someone that I was sad or that I was scared or that I was having a tough time, that I was weak and incapable, and really, like, that's not true. It takes a lot of bravery to tell someone like, hey dude, I'm hurting, I'm whatever. Number two is a lesson that I learned from my dad. He one day called me up and was like, hey, you know, Katie, each day is what you make of it. And I know this is kind of a cliche, and I'm sure lots of people have heard this before. It's not an original idea from my dad, but he just said, like, each day is what you make of it. Practice makes perfect. You have to decide who you want to be. You can wake up and be this person who's like determined to make their day really great, or you can be a person who's walking around miserable, and it's your choice. And how are you going to handle the things that life throws at you? Number three is that low expectations are not a bad thing. This is different than low standards, you know, like obviously it's good to have high standards for yourself and for whatever, but low expectations going into a situation can be great. Some of my favorite movies, for example, are movies that I went in thinking like, I don't know how this is going to be, this might not be that great. And then I left because I had those low expectations, like, that was amazing, that was so good. And I've also gone to like whatever events that I didn't want to go to, and I've been like, ugh, I don't know how I don't really want to go, this isn't gonna be fun. But then I go anyway, and there's some of my favorite memories, like low expectations, but then awesome experience and awesome memories. Number four is that, like, no matter how great that friend or that boyfriend or that girlfriend or that significant other or that just, you know, friendship seems like it's gonna be, like, they may seem like the best person ever, and they might be a really great person, but if something they're doing or something they ask you to do challenges your beliefs, like goes against what you believe or goes against what you think is right, is okay for you, it's not worth it, ever. Like, no matter how cool that person is or like how happy you think they're gonna make you, they aren't gonna make you happy if you're doing something that you don't believe in or that you think, I don't know, is something that you never would do in a negative way. It's not worth it, ever. End of story. Like, you'll find someone who's just as cool and nice and great and funny and cute as they are, who's not gonna ask you to compromise yourself. Number five is life is too short to be worried about what people think of you. Like, I have been in so many situations where, you know, I'll be out with some friends that I'm not like crazy close to, and I'll do something weird or silly or crazy, and they're like, oh my gosh, Katie, like, stop that. People are looking at us, like, people are staring, people are gonna see us, people are gonna notice, and I'm like, so? Like, to quote Shakespeare, men have eyes, let them look. Like, who cares? Who cares? Life is too short for me to care what people think. Like, if I am laughing and having fun and wanting to be silly, I don't care if someone's looking at me. I'm never going to see that person again. And if I do, in the long run, they'll probably be like, I love that she can just be herself anywhere, anytime, and have fun no matter what. So life is way too short to be worried that someone's going to think you're a dork. Number six is kind of related to this, and it's just like, I know a lot of people who will be like, oh gosh, please don't take a picture of me, like I hate having my picture taken or whatever, and then because of that, in every picture they're like, they're all grumpy and ugly and double chinny because they don't want their picture taken. And I'm sorry, at the end of your life, when you're old, you're gonna be like, crap, I was beautiful and I didn't see it. I was like attractive and young and I should have just like enjoyed pictures being taken, because that way you look back at that picture of yourself and in the moment maybe you felt ugly or whatever, and then you'll realize, oh, if I maybe just would have smiled, just let that picture happen, I can look back on this memory as like, oh look, there's me all young and happy and beautiful, rather than, oh, there's me like, you know. Number 7, don't lie to protect someone's feelings. I've been in a lot of situations where, you know, maybe someone invites me to something and I don't want to go to that thing, so I'll be like, oh, I'm so sorry, like, I have a family thing that I have to be at, and then it's not true, and then, like, you totally almost always end up getting caught because pictures end up on Facebook of whatever you were really doing, or just somehow it comes out that you lied. And, you know, I always thought, well, you know, I'm just padding it, like, this is me being gentle, I don't want to hurt their feelings or whatever, and I always felt okay about it until I was on the other side of it, and, you know, I was like, guys, like, you want to do this? And then all my friends were like, oh, no, like, we're really tired, we're not gonna go, or whatever, and then I found out they all, like, went to a party that I wasn't invited to, and it felt way more hurtful, like, that they lied to me than it would have if they just would have said, like, oh, actually, we're going to this thing. Like, maybe that would have been hurtful for a second, but honestly, probably not. I would have appreciated the honesty and been like, whatever, I don't even care. Like, I don't want to, I wouldn't have gone to that anyway. And obviously, there's different situations for this, but I think in the long run, like, the truth is going to come out. It's better to just tell the truth so that they feel respected. Like, being honest and being like, hey, this is the real situation, this is why I can't go, or this is why, you know, this is happening, this is, I don't know. It could come in a lot of situations where you lie to protect someone's feelings, but it always is going to come out as a lie, and that person will feel disrespected and lied to, where if you just would have been honest, they're like, hey, this hurts me, but at least you were honest, and at least you respected me enough to care about my feelings enough to be honest with me. Number 8 is something my mom taught me, and it was this one time when we were arguing and I was like, oh, you made me cry or whatever, and she was like, I didn't make you do anything. And in the moment I was like so annoyed, like, yes you did, don't you see I'm upset? But then she explained it to me later and was like, no, Katie, like, you are in charge of your emotions, you are in charge of how people affect you. No one can make you angry, no one can make you sad, no one can make you do anything. You are in charge of how you respond. So this is similar to what my dad said. You are in charge of how you react. You are in charge of your emotions. Like, maybe a situation made you sad, like maybe you're sad, maybe you're angry, but that's because of your own emotions. It's not because they're forcing you. They do not have, like, a gun to your head forcing you to cry, forcing you to be angry. Like, they said something and maybe it elicited some type of emotional response, but it's not their fault. It's how you're choosing to handle it. So that really was empowering for me as a child to learn, like, hey, you know what? Yeah, this situation makes me sad, and yes, it involves this person, but it's not this person's fault. And I'm in control of my own emotions. No one can make me do anything but me. Number 9 is just some little life advice that I've picked up. If you go and get a massage in a foreign country or in your own country, and they hand you something that looks like a surgical mask, you're supposed to put that on as pants. There it is. Put that on as pants. Don't put that anywhere else. Those are for your bottom. Number 10, I learned from talking to a friend and teacher in my life, and also I've picked this up from experience. Parents are not as clueless as you like to think they are, or as I like to think they are. You know, I think we all are like, maybe we'll tell a little lie to our parent and be like, they're never gonna know, and then they might not ever tell you that they know, but they totally do. Parents are brilliant. Parents totally know everything that's going on, and sometimes they won't call you out on it because they're like, whatever, if lying is gonna make her feel good, I'll let her lie. But they know. and then you just look like a fool because you're lying to their face and they know and they're like, oh my goodness, they're laughing at you, or they're mad at you, or they don't trust you. It's all just a deep hole that you're digging yourself into. Number 11 is maybe the most serious advice I can give to you. If you feel like, if nature's calling and you have to pee, you have to urinate, if you will, do not, and I repeat, please, please do not play pool chicken. You know that thing where you're on someone's shoulders and you're wrestling, you're trying to knock someone down? If you feel nature calling, don't play that game. Please. Don't do it. Number 12. This could probably go with another video that I posted in the past about love and relationships and, you know, just like tell that person how you feel. And that is, do not tell a boy that you have never really talked to that you want to marry him. You know what? Scratch that. Do tell him. Totally tell him, because then when you're like, hey, you're cool, we should get married, he's totally gonna invite you to his graduation party and it's gonna be awesome, all because you put yourself out there. So put yourself out there and just be like, hey, you're cute. And then he'll invite you to parties. And he'll never date you and never talk to you again, but it'll be worth it for that one night. Number 13, just let yourself feel things. Sometimes you're going to feel sad or you're going to feel angry, and logically it's not going to make sense. You're going to be like, I'm not allowed to feel this way, you know, because I have no real reason to be mad. I have no real reason to be sad, but I am. And so then what I always did was like squash those feelings of stress, anger, sadness down, and I just ignored them and pretend they weren't there. And then they would like just all crash down around me and I would be twice as bad. Where if I just like let myself mentally process through my maybe irrational sadness or anger by like venting to my mom or venting to my best friend, someone who I trust and I know is going to just like let me feel those crazy things, in the long run those feelings can kind of go away because you processed them and you dealt with them instead of pretending they weren't there and then having them come back twice as big. So just find someone that you trust and that you can talk to and who will be like your confidant, and then you can just deal with things as they come rather than dealing with them later when they're worse because you didn't deal with them. Number 14 is another one that I learned from a great teacher that I had in high school, and she said, or her friend told her, you know, like it was a lesson she learned and she passed it down to me, but basically just don't let someone else's tragedy lessen your own tragedy. Like, there's always going to be someone who's been through something worse than you have, or who's currently going through something worse than you have, but that does not make your feelings any less real or any less hard. You know, this may be the hardest thing you've ever had to deal with, and you're hurting, and just because, you know, your friend has had a much tougher time with something, or there are starving kids in Africa, that doesn't mean that you aren't allowed to feel your feelings. You are. If something's hard, let it be hard. Like, it's okay to be bummed out. I know a lot of these are like, it's okay to be bummed out, and it's because I have struggled with that my whole life. I've just been like, felt like I'm not allowed to be sad. And sometimes life gets hard, and that's okay. And also on that note is you shouldn't let your tragedies lessen someone else's tragedies. Like, maybe you are that friend who's been through something a lot worse than your friend who's struggling. You know, maybe you're like, my breakup was harder, or my relationship with my parents is more complicated, or I've experienced a greater loss, or, you know, whatever. And then you may feel like, hear a friend complaining about something and you're like, are you kidding? You don't even know what pain is. And you know what? That might be true for you. But just because your life has maybe been harder, or you've been through what may seem like something so much bigger than what they have, it doesn't mean they aren't scared or feeling alone or hurting. And, you know, they just need a friend. They just need someone to like listen and be like, hey, I know you're sad, I know you're scared, I know you're hurting, and I'm here for you, and you're gonna get through it. And you know that because you've been through something greater, maybe, and you got through it. And that's all they need, is someone who's gonna love them. And sorry that I slapped my leg. But anyway, not to lessen that moment, but they just need a friend. And hopefully your experience can just add empathy. Number 15 is one that I learned from my student minister in middle school and high school. And I was really stressed out about some type of test or final or midterm or something. And he was like, you know what, Katie? In the light of eternity, this is only one test. And it was like, you're right, I have my whole life, I have all of eternity, and I'm stressing about this one test, or this one assignment, or this one paper, or this one boy, or this one friend, or this one tough situation, and I'm, you know, it feels like the end of the world, and it's not. In the light of eternity, this is one situation that's going to be over tomorrow. Number 16, which is, you know, sometimes the people who hurt us the most are the people who love us the most, and they hurt us because they love us. And I don't mean that as an excuse to be like, oh, like my boyfriend is abusing me, but I'm gonna stay because that means he loves me, because that's not what I mean. I mean, like, maybe sometimes your mom yells at you a little more, or like you yell at your mom a little more, or your dad, or your sister, or your brother, because you know at the end of the day, like, you can be mean to them and they're still gonna love you and they're still gonna be there for you at the end of the day. And that it's not a good thing, that's not fair, and that hurts, but, you know, sometimes someone just hurts you because they know that they can take stuff out on you because they know you're still gonna love them and you're still gonna be there for them. You know, like, maybe you're fighting with your boyfriend or your girlfriend or your friend, and then you take it out on your mom instead of that person because you're like, man, they might not be there, but my mom is always going to be there. But I think that's an important lesson to learn, that sometimes someone's hurting you because they trust you. Number 17 is about forgiveness. I always used to think that forgiving someone meant that, oh, I forgive you for messing up and now we're best friends and we have to be friends because forgiveness means totally, like, loving you and everything goes back to normal. This is not always the case. You can absolutely forgive someone and love someone and choose to no longer have them in your life. You know, you need to be able to recognize a toxic friendship and be like, hey, you know what, I forgive you for the toxic things that you've done to me, but I don't want to have you in my life anymore. And you can still love that person, care about that person, forgive that person, and not have to be friends with them anymore. Number 18, this is another lesson my dad taught me. I was really upset one time that someone else got credit for something that I worked really hard on, and I was like so mad that they got all the credit when I did all the work, and my dad was like, you know what, Katie, getting credit isn't everything. Like, at the end of the day, you just need to be proud and know and rest in the fact that you did a great job, and you know it, and it's okay if nobody else knows it, because you do. And, you know, that person who got all the credit for it, they in their heart know that they didn't do any work for it, and if they're a decent person, they're going to feel bad about it, and if they don't feel bad about it, they have some issues, and so you don't even need to worry about that anyways. But yeah, credit isn't everything. Sometimes just knowing you did a good job is good enough. Number 19. If you are going on vacation to a sunny place with the beach, bring aloe vera with you from home, because wherever you are is not going to have it. This has happened to me on 2 vacations, both in California. Both times I got terribly sunburnt, and I was like, I'm at a beach. Obviously, every store near me is going, every gas station, every gift shop is going to have aloe vera. They won't. Sometimes, you know, you and your friends took a road trip, your childhood friends, and you all laid on the beach for hours one day, and all of you are gonna get sunburnt, and you're all gonna go back to your hotel room, and you're gonna realize that no one brought any aloe, so you're gonna go to every gas station near your hotel, and none of those places are going to have any aloe. And finally, number 20 is to laugh. Laugh at yourself, laugh with your friends. Don't laugh at your friends. Sometimes you can laugh at your friends, but that's not what I mean. But you know, just laugh. Don't take yourself too seriously. Just see everyday humor in mundane things. Laughter is so healing and magical and fantastic, and if you laugh every day, you've had a successful day. There's that E.E. Cummings quote, which is something like, "A day without laughter is a day wasted." And I think that's so true. I really try to laugh every day, even like if I'm having a rough day, but just like if I can find a reason to laugh, it can change everything. So laugh more. Sorry that this was so serious. I like that I'm like, oh, you should laugh all the time, but then all of these things were very serious and about being sad and about being angry and about people hurting you or hurting other people. So I'm sorry that this was so heavy, but these are just things I've learned because honestly I'm pretty much happy all the time, so a lot of these mistakes I've made in my life are when I don't know how to deal with serious things or sad things or angry things because I never deal with them. I'm happy all the time, and so when those things come into my life, I'm like, I don't know how to do this. So, yes, I'm learning how to deal with serious things, and that's why all of these were so serious. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video.